Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as the United States and the Federal Reserve for decades now have used the power of the US dollar or the Federal Reserve note and the power of sanctions against countries that don't want to play ball, we all knew that the day would come where a country would stand up to that power that is being used against them. And other countries will follow, ladies and gentlemen. I live in the United States of America, and I love my country. But when I say I love my country, I mean I love my countrymen. I do not like the way that our government and the Federal Reserve misuse their power and authority in our name in order to do things like sanction other countries in our name, ladies and gentlemen. Sanctions only work for the politicians that are sanctioning. They don't work for the people. They don't work for the people of the countries that are being sanctioned, and they don't work for the people of the countries that are doing the sanctioning. Ask yourself a question. Have all of these sanctions that have been going on in the last several months, and really for years, have they really helped you any? Have they allowed you to put more food on your table? Have they allowed you to prosper? Ask yourselves that question, especially now, where we are being asked to be patriots and take the blunt of these sanctions. So now, ladies and gentlemen, as I've been talking about for a few years, we are entering into what is a paradigm change. And if you've been with me for a while, you'll remember me saying that we will enter into a new paradigm sooner or later, because the system by which we are governed here, especially in the Western countries, is not a just system. It is a system that exists for the profit of the few, and then the rest of us have to pay for those profits of the few. So now, ladies and gentlemen, a paradigm shift is occurring. And here it says that the Russian ruble has relaunched and is being linked to gold and commodities. That, ladies and gentlemen, is bad news for the US dollar. And why is that? Because the US dollar is really backed by nothing that is tangible. It is backed only by the labor of those people that reside within the United States of America that pay taxes. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this article and try to decipher exactly what it means to us that Russia is effectively now backing their ruble with gold. Why is setting a fixed price for gold and rubles significant? By offering to buy gold from Russian banks at a fixed price of 5,000 rubles per gram, the Bank of Russia has both linked the ruble to gold and, since gold trades in US dollars, has set a floor price for the ruble in terms of US dollars. If you all remember that during the initial days of the sanctions that were being put on Russia or the Russian government, right, that the ruble dropped very significantly. It almost dropped by like more than 50%, I believe, like overnight. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the ruble is starting to regain its strength. And the reason for that is because the Russian government decided to go ahead and put a set price on gold in rubles. And let's go ahead and read on here. And they go on to say here, ladies and gentlemen, we can see this linkage in action since the 25th of March, Friday, when the Bank of Russia made the fixed price announcement. The ruble was trading at about 100 to the US dollar at that time, but has since strengthened and is nearing 80 to the US dollar. And why is the question? Because gold has been trading on international markets at about $62 per gram, which is equivalent to the 5,000 rubles that they are charging per gram in Russia, which comes out to be about 80.5 rubles to the dollar. And markets and arbitrage traders have now taken note, driving the ruble and USD exchange rate higher. So the ruble now has a floor to the US dollar in terms of gold. But gold also has a floor to speak, because 5,000 rubles per gram is 155,500 rubles per troy ounce of gold. And with a ruble and USD floor of about 80, that's a gold price of about $1,940. And if the Western paper gold markets, the LBMA or the COMEX, try to drive the US dollar gold price lower, they will have to try to weaken the ruble as well, or else the paper manipulation will be out in the open. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so they've got him on a catch-22. I'll tell you what, I've often heard that President Putin was a KGB colonel or something like that, and that he is very intelligent, and I've always heard the term 4D chess or something like that, or 3D chess. And I have a feeling that this was very well thought out. This plan was very well thought out. And I also read an article earlier today that said something about, was the Russia invasion of Ukraine really to take over Ukraine, or to try to take down the US dollar? Because think about it, ladies and gentlemen. What is the best way for Russia and any other nations that are not friendly to the US? What is the best way for them to get back at the US? It is to take down the dollar. Why is that? Because the dollar is what gives the US its power. The dollar is what has been able to allow the US to build the military that it has. Why? Because it is the world reserve currency, and the United States government pretty much has an open printing press to be able to print as much as they want. So the best way for another nation to take down the US is not militarily, but through the dollar. And that's what I think has been going on. It's been planned for years, and they are now executing on that plan when they see that the United States is the weakest that it's been in decades. Additionally, with the gold-ruble linkage, if the ruble continues to strengthen, for example, due to demand created by obligatory energy payments in rubles, this will also be reflected on a stronger gold price. And the reason is because since Russia put a set price to gold, 5,000 rubles to 1 gram, if the Russian ruble strengthens, because now it is demanding payments in rubles for energy going to Germany and going to the EU countries, if it strengthens because there is a need for more rubles in the market, then it will also elevate the price of gold, and we will have to go with that price of gold no matter what paper contracts exist in the LBMA or COMEX. For those of you that don't understand this, a way that has been used to manipulate the price of gold and silver ever since gold was made legal to own again back in 1975 was through the use of paper contracts. So for those of you that may not understand this, for every, let's say, 100-ounce paper contract of gold that there is outstanding, there only exists about 1 ounce of physical gold. So it's really a paper tiger. And the reason that this system was developed was to discourage the American citizens from owning gold. Because whenever the price of gold or silver starts to go up, they flood the paper market with a whole bunch of contracts that really don't represent anything close to the amount of gold that they are saying is in the system. It doesn't represent anything close to it. But with more supply of something in the system, the price goes down. Now they won't be able to do that. Now if Russia's ruble price continues to increase because there is more demand for Russian rubles from countries that need their energy, then there's nothing that anyone would be able to do to combat the price of gold and or silver rising along with the value of the ruble. I hope you understand that, because that is key. Now, from what I understand, Russia has only set this price tag on gold of 5,000 rubles per gram, I think through the end of June. But if they continue, ladies and gentlemen, to keep this tag on gold with the ruble, and their currency gets more valuable because other nations are now trading bilaterally with them using their rubles, then the price of gold will continue to go up, and there will be absolutely nothing that anyone else could do about it because of that arbitrage. All right, because of that arbitrage in the market between the paper market that we set here in the Western nations and the actual peg to the ruble that Russia has gone ahead and executed. And they continue to say the same can now be done with Russian oil. If Russia begins to demand payment for oil exports in ruble, there will be an immediate indirect peg to gold. via the fixed price to the ruble and the gold connection. Then Russia could begin accepting gold directly in payment for its oil exports. In fact, this can be applied to any commodity, not just oil and natural gas, so also to their wheat, to their fertilizer, any of that kind of stuff. What does this mean for the price of gold? By playing both sides of the equation, i.e., linking the ruble to gold and then linking energy payments to the ruble, the Bank of Russia and the Kremlin are fundamentally altering the entire working assumption of the gold trade system while accelerating change in the global monetary system. This wall of buyers in search of physical gold to pay for real commodities could certainly torpedo and blow up the paper gold markets of the LBMA and the COMEX. Now, this is very dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you why this is so dangerous that Russia is doing this. Because the Federal Reserve, all right, and the government, they are going to do whatever it takes to make sure that this does not happen. Why? Because this will take away all of their power. This will effectively take away the power of our federal government, and it will also turn these United States into a third world country. The reason I say that, ladies and gentlemen, is because the only thing that backs up our dollar right now is your labor. It's our labor, our ability to be able to labor, earn some money so that we can pay in taxes. That is what effectively backs up the US dollar. The fixed peg between the ruble and gold puts a floor on the ruble and USD rate, but also a quasi-floor on the US dollar gold price. But beyond this, the linking of gold to energy payments is the main event. While increased demand for rubles should continue to strengthen the ruble and USD rate and show up as a higher gold price due to the fixed ruble gold linkage, if Russia begins to accept gold directly as payment for oil, then this would be a new paradigm shift for the gold price, as it would link the oil price directly to the gold price. So the US could work itself out of this. If this actually ends up, happening, where countries end up trading oil for gold, we do have the ability to produce energy. We have the ability to produce oil. We have the ability to produce natural gas. And we could also do the same thing. But the key point in here is that it will take away the power from the federal government, because they will only be limited to spend what we can pump out of the ground. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's what they will be limited to spend. There will be no trillion-dollar deficits anymore. All right, this is going to change everything. This is going to lower our standard of living in a big way, meaning that the lifestyle that we've been used to for the last several decades, where we have a deficit every year, meaning that we produce less than what we consume, that lifestyle will be over. And we will have to be able to produce at the same rate that we consume. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to change our lifestyle drastically. And they go on and say, for example, Russia could start by specifying that it will now accept 1 gram of gold per barrel of oil. It doesn't have to be 1 gram, but it would have to be a discounted offer to the current crude benchmark price of oil. Buyers would then have to scramble to buy physical gold to pay for Russian oil exports, which in turn would create huge strains in the paper gold markets of London and New York, where the entire gold price discovery is based on synthetic and fractionally backed cash settled allocated gold and gold price derivatives. What I was talking about before, the synthetic price of gold is based on paper and contracts, not the real physical metal. However, if Russia starts to demand the physical metal for oil, even if it is at a discounted price than what oil is going for in US dollars, if they offer that oil at a discounted price, right, but in gold, people are going to be going out there to buy the gold to pay in gold, because they'll be able to get that oil at a cheaper price than they could otherwise using paper. Incredible. I mean, I have to say that it's pretty ingenious, in my opinion, what they've done here. It is a way to bring down, and the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, is that the system by which we are governed today, the financial system, the gold market, the silver market, the commodities market, everything, it is all twisted, ladies and gentlemen. It is all manipulated to serve only those that are in the know, to serve those that call themselves our rulers. And I've always said that before we went on to something better, that this system would have to fall apart. And in my opinion, this has the ability of making this system fall apart. However, the bad part of this is that we will suffer. So be prepared. Get prepared now, ladies and gentlemen. Because if this happens, we will suffer. So we have a few options here, or I think the U.S. has a few options here. Either bite the bullet and understand that its days as the world reserve currency is coming to an end, and try to do the right thing and actually have a currency that is backed up by real stuff, so that they are restricted from printing as much as they want and pretty much stealing our wealth. They can do that, or they can do what they are good at, taking us to war. Taking us to war and trying to tumble the government that they have to tumble in order for the US dollar's world hegemony to continue. I'm going to go ahead and read all the way down on here to finish it off, and I'll leave the link to this article so that you can revisit it, okay? What does this mean for the US dollar? Since 1971, the global reserve status of the US dollar has been underpinned by oil. I don't think that's true that it's been underpinned by oil. In a way it is, because people have had to use dollars to buy oil from OPEC nations. So in a way, yes, but it's really not oil that was backing it up. It was just the need of the dollar to purchase oil. It wasn't really that oil was backing up the value of the dollar, but that the need of the dollar was up because it's what was needed to purchase oil. And the petrodollar era has only been possible due to both the world's continued use of US dollars to trade oil and the USA's ability to prevent any competitor to the US dollar. But what we are seeing right now looks like the beginning of the end of that 50-year system and the birth of a new gold and commodity-backed multilateral monetary system. And ladies and gentlemen, take Russia out of the equation, okay? I want you to understand this, because we have a lot of emotional souls out there. Take Russia out of the equation and ask yourselves, what would you prefer? What would you prefer? Would you prefer to have a monetary unit? Okay? Would you prefer to have something that has real value behind it? All right? That would restrict governments from printing as much as they want and making the prices of the things that you need to buy to live go up like they are going up now. Would you prefer having something like that? Or would you prefer having something that's real currency? The definition of currency is something that is backed up by something tangible. It is something that you can take and trade for something that is real. Okay? That is what currency is. Fiat currency, this right here, fiat currency, is currency that is not backed up by anything, that you can make as much of as you want. And what happens is that when this fiat currency gets put out into the economy, it ends up stripping some of the wealth of the currency that you've already earned. So which would you rather have? In which world would you rather live? In a world that has a fair monetary system, or in a world where the monetary system is set against you? And ladies and gentlemen, that is what this would be. It would be a monetary system that would be fair and honest, because it would restrict governments from printing as much as they wanted. They continue to say here, but what we are seeing right now looks like the beginning of the end of that 50-year system and the birth of a new gold and commodity-backed multilateral monetary system. The freezing of Russia's foreign exchange reserve has been the trigger. The giant commodity-strong countries of the world, such as China and the oil-exporting nations, may now feel that now is the time to move to a more equitable monetary system. It's not a surprise. They have been discussing it for years. While it is still too early to say how the US dollar will be affected, it will come out of this period weaker and less influential than before. What are the consequences of these developments? The Bank of Russia's move to link the ruble to gold and link commodity payments to the ruble is a paradigm shift that the Western media has not really yet been grasped. As the dominoes fall, these events could reverberate in different ways. Increased demand for physical gold, blow-ups in the paper gold market, a revalued gold price, a shift away from the US dollar, increased bilateral trade in commodities among non-Western countries in the currencies other than the US dollar. So ladies and gentlemen, how would I prepare for this? If I knew that there will come a day when the US dollar would no longer reign as the king of the world currency, how would I prepare for this? Well, you heard me say it 1,000 times before, so I might as well say it one more time. I like to preserve my excess wealth in silver, mainly silver, a little bit of gold, because I think you ought to be diversified. I even have some really small, I think 1 gram or 5 gram bars of platinum, not very many, just a couple, but gold and silver will preserve your excess wealth. What if you don't have any excess wealth? Have everything you need. Have a full pantry. Have as much food put away as you possibly can. Get some spare tires for your vehicles. Get them now and put them away. If you're going to need tires within the next couple of years, I would say. Get some spare parts for your vehicles. Check out the video that I did where I got a whole bunch of spare parts for my vehicles, because I feel that if something like this should happen, that parts were going to be coming much more expensive than they are now. And not just in the form of nominal terms, not just in the dollar terms, but in the actual amount of time that you have to work for that currency. All right, get all of those things that you need. Be prepared, because this here will have an effect on us as a nation that we've never felt before. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hard times make strong men. And unfortunately, we have been living in easy times for way too long, and hard times are coming.